Hi, this is Katie Duganhaus with Modern Recycling. Modern provides recycling and waste services to Catholic Health's facilities, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about recycling. Catholic Health has made a strong commitment to sustainability. Sustainable healthcare is good for the environment, good for patients and staff, and good for the bottom line. And reducing waste and recycling is an important part of sustainability. So I'm going to start with a couple of questions for you. Yesterday, did you throw something away? Did you recycle something? I'm guessing that most of you answered yes to at least one of these questions. And that's because we are all involved in materials management, or what we used to think of as solid waste management. We outsource a lot of our responsibility for this to companies like Modern so that they'll handle it for us. And here at Modern, we process the material as responsibly as we can, but it's up to all of us to reduce waste. And why? Well, here in the U.S., we generate 4.4 pounds of waste per person per day. For a family of 4, over the course of a year, that works out to being more than the weight of 3 giraffes. And it would be even more than that if we looked at it by volume. That's a lot of waste. And in the last 50 years, we've had a 65% increase in per person waste. So we've become a more wasteful society. The other thing is that we've changed the types of materials that we use. So back in 1900, we used about 41% renewable materials. That would be things like cotton, wool, paper, and wood. And we used about 59% non-renewable materials, things like metals, minerals, and fossil fuel products. You'll notice here that that's changed considerably, and by 1995, only about 6% of what we use was renewable. The biggest change is most likely plastics, which are fossil fuel products. And as it turns out, about 30% of the waste that we generate is containers and packaging, which again you can think of as a lot of plastics. So thankfully, much of the material that we do generate as waste is recyclable. So let's look at some of the value of recycling. It's very helpful for us because it's helpful to the environment, and the health of our environment is linked to our personal health. Recycling also saves natural resources, it reduces energy used to make new products, and it reduces pollution. Nationally, we're recycling about 34%, but that is on a slow trend upward. Now let's look at some specific examples of the value of recycling. One of them is energy savings. Recycling 10 plastic bottles saves enough energy to run a laptop for 25 hours. So there's quite a bit of energy embodied in that plastic bottle. Another one is making new products. The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team wore uniforms made entirely out of recycled plastic in the last Olympics. It takes 22 bottles just to make one jersey. That's where most of the benefits from recycling come from, because when we're making new products out of the material we collect from waste, we're saving energy and we're saving resources. Even things like your yogurt tubs can be made into new products. That's why we can take them in the recycling. So things like bowls, toothbrush handles, other kinds of hard plastic items can be made out of your yogurt tubs and other plastic food tubs. So, what can you recycle here at work? Well, confidential documents can be recycled, but those should be handled by placing them in the special containers labeled for the confidential papers so that you can be sure that they meet all the HIPAA requirements. There's also a lot that you can recycle right at your desk or workstation, or sometimes in the break areas. Look for the waste baskets that have the recycling symbol, and usually they're blue. And in those baskets, you can recycle paper, and often you can also recycle containers, and we'll talk some more about that in a minute. This is a picture from the new Regional Administrative and Training Center, and they have desk-side containers for paper. They do containers at their kitchenettes, And then they have just these small little waste baskets, because what we found is that when you really make an effort to recycle, you have very little waste at work. So we really don't need to have very big waste baskets any longer. Let's look more specifically at some of the things that you can recycle. You can recycle things like your yogurt containers, plastic clamshell containers, pizza boxes, as long as they're pretty clean, other paperboard boxes, and again, as long as it's not food soiled, and even the trays from the cafeteria, as long as it's not food soiled. Really, you can recycle all the same kinds of paper products that you could recycle at home. Another one that you are maybe a little more likely to have at work are your food and beverage containers. Don't forget about this recycling at lunch. That's where a lot of the container materials come from. You can also recycle a lot of other containers, the glass, tin cans, plastic. Keep in mind that many of the supplies that you have that you use there at work may come in containers like plastic jugs and bottles that can also be recycled. There are a few things that will need to go in the waste. Things like styrofoam, chip bags, plastic film, and carry-out plastic bags like your grocery bags. The other piece is things like coffee cup lids and straws are really too hard to capture, so those can go in the waste as well. Some of that plastic, like the plastic carry-out bags, those can be taken right back to the store, especially the grocery stores, where they'll be able to recycle those much more easily. Please don't recycle sharps or medical waste in the regular recycling. Those need to go with your red bag waste. Items like aerosol cans, chemicals, and electronics are all hazardous and have to be handled differently, so be sure to recycle those in other ways. If you want to learn more about how all of this is processed and goes from being collected to sorted and baled up and then sent off to manufacturing, you can watch a little video at our website, moderncorporation.com. It's only 6 minutes long, and it'll tell you all about how that process works. Now, to really ensure success in your recycling program, everybody needs to be monitoring the progress and really just be observant in your office building or in your hospital. Just peer in the waste and recycling bins at the end of the day. Do you see recyclables in the trash? Do you see trash in the recycling? What items seem to be commonly in the wrong place? Use that as a way to provide friendly reminders and little pats on the back when people are doing it right, and that will help you change your behaviors. So as a recap, there are many good reasons to recycle. There's opportunity at work to recycle many types of material, and you can support and encourage new recycling habits for yourself and your colleagues. So please make a difference and recycle. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact me and I'll be happy to answer them.